Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and we are about to crack into box number 2 of my Chinese language DVD collection. I only have 2 boxes, so we're about halfway through. But before we do that, I forgot to cover some of my movies that I had purchased with... They came in like envelope type things or slip cases, I don't know what you would call them. But let me show you what I mean. Let's go over the first one here. And it's a great movie that I covered on my channel already. That is Eye in the Sky. See what I'm talking about here? It's like an envelope. And, when I only have a few of these. I didn't really know that the DVDs would come like this. I think most of these were eBay purchases. And they're not bootlegs, they're legitimate releases, but every once in a while I would get some that come in this little flimsy little case, or it's, envelope type thing. I don't even know what you call it. But, yeah, I have a few of them. But I was so happy I got the movie that, whatever. So, this movie I covered, as I said on my channel. You got Simon Yam and Tony Leung. I think this is, I got it right here. This is Tony Leung Ka-Fai. Alright. The other Tony Leung, who's probably more popular to viewers in the West, is known as Tony Leung Chiu-Wai, or Little Tony. And this is Big Tony, or something. That's what Wikipedia says, so whatever. Must be true. So, but this guy's, he's grown on me as an actor. I wasn't real sure about him at first, in the first films I saw from him, but this movie, convinced me and made me a fan of him. He's a good actor, definitely. And obviously you got Simon Yam, who's awesome. You have Kate Choi. First time I ever saw her in a movie. And she gives a really good performance in this one. And you could check out my review. It's about a surveillance team. Kind of a different type of suspense flick. Like I always say with this movie, if you've seen The French Connection with Gene Hackman, and you really like the scenes where they were tailing people and kind of passing off cops as they're tailing people, that's basically what this movie is. And it's, a little bit different, and I think it's fantastic. A bit low-key, but it's really good. A lot of slow burn suspense, some great performances, sufficiently stylish. I highly recommend this one. Eye in the Sky. And, of course, it was remade as Cold Eyes, the South Korean film. So they're both similar, but different in style. I also covered Cold Eyes on my channel and gave you a nice little summary of what makes them different. So check out both reviews. And you could buy both of them, of course, and they would make an excellent double feature. I'll just tell you that right now. All right, our next film here is a bit different in format. I think this is a VCD. Now, VCDs, unbelievably, are still around and sold. And this movie is Jiang, the Triad Zone. Now, a VCD, let me just show you, because I'm sure a lot of people probably don't know what they are. It's basically the same, okay, in terms of the size as a DVD, okay, and you could play it on DVD players, but you have 2 discs per movie, because VCDs can't hold as much data as a DVD. And I'm not sure really what the point of this is, but they're a lot cheaper than DVDs. So, and the reason why I bought this, I knew it was a VCD when I purchased it on Yes Asia. I think that was the only version that was available, the only format. I don't know if the DVD was out of print or out of stock, but I wanted to watch this and I couldn't watch it anywhere else. So I'm like, I'll buy the VCD for like $7 or $5 maybe. These are pretty cheap. And believe it or not, VCD formats are still being released for new movies, which is quite odd, because most people, I think, would prefer DVD, but the DVDs are a little bit more expensive, so they still give you the option to buy the cheaper VCD version. And obviously, you're not going to get any special features on this. So what you do is you pop disc 1 in, halfway through the movie, it stops, you eject the disc, and you pop disc 2 in to finish it. The VCD, but sometimes it comes through, apparently. I have at least one. So Jiang, this is one that has, I think this was directed by Dante Lam, who is a very good director, and it it's like a crime drama with some comedy in it. A little bit different from a typical crime drama. It's got a mix of like drama and humor, a lot of recognizable actors, and it's more relationship based. It focuses on the relationships of the characters just as much, if not more so, than the actual crime element. So it was a pretty good flick. This is pretty highly acclaimed. For some reason, I didn't like it quite as much as its reputation suggested, but it's definitely a good movie. Very under-recognized in the West, I'll put it that way. I recommend it. Now we got one that I covered in my Asian horror playlist, Naraka 19. You had Jillian Chung there. This is the one where her and her friends play I forgot how many levels of hell there are. They get caught up in this game that appears on their mobile phones, of course, and they play to try to conquer like the 13 levels of hell or something crazy. And it's a horror flick, and things don't go quite well for them. I thought this movie was pretty much just not very good in terms of overall quality. Some cool visuals. Remember, this came out a year after Recycle, which of course we're going to get to. And I think it might have tried to cash in on the popularity of Recycle, but didn't really work. It has some cool visuals for sure, but check out my mini review. I think this one came out in 2007, so that would be my Asian horror video from 2007. Now the next one here is very good. This one is Overheard. All right, you got a solid trio of actors there. Lau Ching-wan, Louis Koo, and Daniel Wu. I like Daniel Wu a lot. He isn't this guy here. He's been in some great flicks like Beyond Our Ken and a lot of stuff. But for some reason he like disappears sometimes from the industry. It seems like he's not in as many movies as you would think. But all three of these guys give really good performances. This is basically, it's a surveillance flick. It's about three guys, I think, who are, let me check my notes. They're doing some type of surveillance over, I think, like a stock trading group. They conduct surveillance on a publicly traded company that is suspected of fraud. Okay. And things get pretty dicey. They get dangerous because whoever's running the company is not a nice person. They're not nice people. So there is some nice conflicts in this, some nice suspense, some very good performances. It's kind of a suspense thriller. I liked it a lot. There was a sequel that came out. There might have been 2 sequels. But I remember the sequel was good, but not as good as the first one. So start off with the first one. Next one here. Very, very entertaining fantasy horror film. Recycle. Covered this on my Asian horror playlist during 2006. This one, you have a writer who gets sucked into an alternate horrific dimension. And she has to make her way through these various horrific realms. Very, very creative imagery in this. The special effects are actually pretty good in this one. You got, it's directed by the Pang brothers, starring Angelica Lee, of course. And then, this is a very good movie. I really liked it a lot. So check out my mini review in the Asian horror playlist for more thoughts on that. And then my last, I guess, low-grade slipcase acquisition is another very underappreciated film that very few people seem to know about. And that is, of course, Wind Blast. Now this one, the only reason I saw this is because it's got my boy Francis Ng and Wu Jing. So I was like, oh, those two guys in the flick, I gotta see this. This is just a no-nonsense action flick. It gets unrealistic right from the start. I mean, there's a scene where a guy like shoots a bullet across like a Grand Canyon of some kind, and he hits like the reins that a guy's riding on his horse. So like right from the start, you know this is going to be ridiculous, but it's a lot of fun to watch. Very very fun action flick. If you want like I wouldn't say it's a western like, but it's set in like a desert environment, has blistering pacing, good action scenes, shootouts, and fights, and a really good main cast. Check out Wind Blast. I gotta rewatch that one again. That one's fun. Alright, so that's it for that little detour into these, whatever you want to call them. And we'll go back to the DVDs. And of course, a lot of these special features, not a whole lot going on here. Yeah, don't worry about the special features on these. Alright. Alright, we got plenty of time to just dig in here. Now, where am I at? Okay. I think we finished with the Infernal Affairs trilogy. So now we're up to The Inspector Wears Skirts. Girls with Guns flick. You should not be surprised at this point. So this one, you got Sybil Hu, Cynthia Rothrock, Kara Hui. Yeah, Cynthia Rothrock, a lot of people don't know, she was actually in a handful of Hong Kong action films in the 80s and early 90s. And if you've only seen her American flicks, like China O'Brien and that, you know, those are real low grade, even compared to these. And these didn't have big budgets. But the action design and the choreography and the direction's way better than any of her American action films. So if you're a fan of Cynthia Rothrock, I highly suggest that you watch like as many of her Hong Kong films as you possibly can, because you're going to see her move. And she was younger when she made these films, and she could move. So let's, I forgot about the first Inspector Wears Skirts film. So let's see. There was actually 4 of these. Alright, this one I kind of liked. This one was pretty good. So let's see what my problem was with this. I remember Part 4 is my favorite, because Part 4 is just completely ridiculous. Alright, so a group of female cadets train for their first mission. So it's like Police Academy, but girls with gun style. Much of the time is spent on entertaining humor, okay? Nothing particularly hilarious, but there's a lot of decently funny moments. The action is sparse, consisting of a few short sequences with decent choreography. So the first Inspector Wears Skirts film really is more of a comedy. Alright, that makes sense for my rating here. So don't go into this expecting a lot of action. I don't even know if Cynthia Rothrock really does a whole lot in this. She must only show up at the end. So, but I still liked it. It was pretty good. Alright, now we have The Inspector Wears Skirts 2 on DVD. Now this one I rated very similarly. Alright, so this sequel to the popular Police Academy style original, so I got that right, is a near duplicate in terms of structure. So the opening hour consists almost entirely of like humor and comedy, with some cheesy 80s type stuff in it, because these were released in the late 80s, the first 2 at least. And then the final half hour ramps up the physical training of the cadets, like obstacle courses and sparring, and then it chucks in a 10-minute assault at the end. And I would say it works about as well as the original. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. If you see the first and you like it, you know what to expect. This one you got, man, Sandra Ing. Yeah, this one, you don't really have a lot of really good martial artists in this one, I don't think. Whereas the first one, yeah, even the first one you really didn't. I mean, you did have Sybil Hu, Cynthia Rothrock, Kara Hui. So you have a good cast, but not really the girls that can really move. I mean, Cynthia Rothrock can, but she didn't do a lot, I don't think, in these. But the first 2 are pretty good. Another one that I like the most, Inspector Wears Skirts 4. I don't know what happened to 3. I don't think I bought 3 for some reason. I think maybe I got to see it on YouTube or something, so I didn't have to buy it. So the Inspector Wears Skirts 4. This one I think is a lot better. So in this one you get Moon Lee and you get Cynthia Khan. So already you're talking upgrade. Already you're talking upgrade. Alright, here we go. So Moon Lee gets silly while training under Cynthia Khan in this ludicrous martial arts flick. So this one's more of an action. It's got comedy to it because it's ridiculous, but it's primarily an action film. Now there's a few action scenes placed near the beginning, the middle, and the end. So there is a good amount of humor to take the place of some of the action, but some of the gags are pretty funny, and it's kind of lighthearted and cute with a cheesy score to it. And the final 2-on-1 fight, though, I remember this. The final 2-on-1 fight in this bad boy is pretty freaking sweet. It's very kind of over the top, but it's very amusing. And you know, it has a little bit more focus on the action, this one, I think. There's a little bit more high octane to it. So I definitely like this one the best out of all of them. And yeah, so you don't have to watch them in order, I don't think. They all have their own separate storylines. But these are, you know, a fairly well-known series of action flicks. Not really a high priority. I say you start with the fourth one. If you can find the fourth one, it's pretty fun. And at least you get two of like the premier girls with guns action stars in it. Alright, this one I have not covered yet on my Asian Horror Year in Review playlist. And this one is Invitationonly. Invitationonly. It's it's almost like a Hostel film. You know what I mean? It almost seems like it was modeled after Hostel, which means that it's not particularly good. I've seen some people really talk this one up, but I wasn't a big fan of it. So a guy receives an invitation to an exclusive party, okay, but becomes a victim of a deadly game of murder. So, you know, yeah, it's modeled after Hostel. Provides a few scenes that homage or even rip off that movie I have in my notes, and I think I remember a few shots that seem to rip that movie off. The script is not good. Death scenes are okay. Suspense is mediocre. So, you know, I'll get to that in my Asian horror playlist. I think this is a 2009 flick. But, yeah, I just didn't like it. I blind bought it. And I think this one might be a Taiwanese film, actually. Let me see here. Yes, it is a Taiwanese horror. That might be one of my curiosities why I bought it. And it got fairly positive reviews online, but I'm not a fan of this one. Kind of a missed opportunity, I think. But some people like it. Alright, so I think it's a good stopping point for tonight. We got a good number of movies in. So, again, join me for my next part. We got probably a handful of parts left. Got some more action flicks, some horror, a nice variety left. So, join me next time, and I'll see you next time.